mid-2030s, NASA plans to send a manned mission to Mars. We now know Mars was once covered by oceans of water, and carbon-based molecules have been found in Martian sandstone. Scientists have never been closer to proving that life once lived on Mars. But there's a bigger question. Is it still there? And if so, has it evolved?
Where science has speculated, science fiction has postulated that UFOs and alien life comes from the surface or underneath Mars.
Join us as we investigate the Red Planet and the possibility that alien life may live in our galaxy. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. We are close to proving that life once existed on Mars, but it hasn't always been this way.
Mars has been the subject of human fascination for thousands of years. Our distant ancestors looked up into the skies, and it was one of the most noticeable objects. And of course, one of the things that made it so interesting was the blood red color. I mean, this association with blood, of course, led to Mars, the god of war.
After landing on the moon in 1969, many in the space community saw Mars as the next logical step in exploring our solar system.
If humankind is ever to go to the stars, we must take that first step to another planet. And that planet is going to be Mars.
But how did an entire planet that may have once been covered with water become a dead, lifeless desert? Scientists look to the Martian moons Phobos and Deimos to answer this complex question.
When scientists began analyzing the data of Phobos, they realized that it was not acting like many moons do. It was not exhibiting the same qualities, not the same orbit, the same speed. And after analyzing the data, they felt that it was possible that Phobos just simply was an outer shell with a hollow middle.
The Phobos anomaly even caught the attention of one of the world's most well-known extraterrestrial scientists at the time, Carl Sagan.
Many scientists, including the great Carl Sagan, came to the conclusion that Phobos was either hollow or extremely porous.
But researchers in the UFO community go much further.
They say that Phobos and Deimos are artificial, that these are extraterrestrial space stations disguised as moons, or perhaps abandoned so long ago that they now have the appearance of something more natural. But some people say that if there's alien life to be found in the solar system, Mars, and particularly Phobos and Deimos, is the place. And indeed, if they are there, what better place? In a sense, it's hiding in plain sight, right on our doorstep.
But is Phobos natural or artificial?
Was this created by nature if it's truly hollow and just simply a shell? Or was this something created by someone else entirely? Now, we know the human race didn't do it. We know the people of Earth didn't do it. So the big question is, if it is artificial, who made it?
To answer this and many other perplexing questions about Mars, we turn to the former Soviet Union. In 1988, with the help of the international space community, the Soviets launched 2 unmanned probes to Mars. Unsealed case file, the Phobos program. July 7th and July 12th, 1988, the Soviet Union. Russia launches probes Phobos 1 and Phobos 2 to Mars. While Phobos 1 suffers a catastrophic failure en route, Phobos 2 reaches Mars orbit, and on March 25th, 1989, swings over to photograph the Martian moon, Phobos.
Now, Phobos is a very strange object, very unlike our own moon, but they know it's a celestial object that has an orbit around Mars. They consider it its moon. And the Soviet Union launched this probe to take pictures of it and learn a little bit more about it.
But when the probe enters the orbit of Phobos, it suddenly ceases to function.
It's about 40 meters away from the moon, when a mysterious object appeared in one of the photographs.
TASS, the official Soviet news agency, reports Phobos 2 failed to communicate with Earth as scheduled after completing an operation yesterday around the Martian moon Phobos. Scientists at Mission Control have been unable to establish stable radio contact. What happened to the Russian probe? Just before it's about to release a lander on the moon's surface, an immense shadow of what many consider to be a UFO appears. During a conference several years later, famous Russian Air Force pilot Marina Popovich stuns the crowd when she shows the last photo taken by Phobos 2, claiming that it's the first ever photo of a UFO mothership.
This would be described as some type of cylinder or cigar-shaped UFO.
This actual photo shows what many believe to be a 12-mile-long UFO captured by Phobos 2 just before it died.
Now, when you look at this, whether it's a UFO or whether it's a glitch on the camera, no one really knows. But oddly, the probe ended up dying shortly thereafter. It mysteriously shut down and was lost.
Did something get fired at this spacecraft? Many people in the UFO and conspiracy theory community believe that Mars is inhabited and that the moons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos, are perhaps inhabited as well, or maybe are artificial satellites, alien in construction. They don't want humans getting too close. Certainly, whatever the truth, there is an extraordinary failure rate of missions to Mars and indeed to Phobos and Deimos.
Coming up, hundreds of photographs show anomalous objects on the surface of Mars. But are they actual objects or optical illusions? Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Mars has remained for many years a scientific conundrum. But its hostile surface, the reason for its demise, and its similarities to Earth make it an important planet to understand. It's the closest planet in our solar system that may have at one time harbored life.
Mars is our closest neighbor, so naturally we want to think that our neighbors, if they exist, will be where we can touch them. And so Mars has lived in our pop culture as being that one place where alien life could be coming from.
Unsealed case file, The Face on Mars. July 25th, 1976, Cydonia, Mars. NASA's Viking 1 and Viking 2 orbiters take 18 images of the Cydonia region of the Martian surface. Viking 1 takes this enigmatic image of a 1.2-mile-long mesa that looks unmistakably to be a humanoid face.
Some believe that there was an ancient civilization on Mars, and indeed some features on the Martian surface are regarded by many as proof of this. The so-called face on Mars is the best known one.
35 orbits later, Viking 1 takes another photo with a different sun angle, and the same face is clearly visible. When the photos are released to the public, they spark a firestorm of speculation.
There's a debate to be had here, and many believe that there are fingerprints of some ancient extraterrestrial society on the Martian surface.
Is this an ancient artifact from a long extinct alien society? NASA has always denied the face on Mars is a monument built by a lost Martian civilization. But 20 years after the Viking 1 pictures stunned the world, NASA sent a series of orbiters to rephotograph Cydonia at a much higher resolution. Scientists claim the higher resolution photos of the Cydonia Mesa prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that it is a natural geological feature and not an artificial structure.
There are also structures said to resemble pyramids, and every now and then from the various Mars rovers there have been what to some look like artifacts.
Researchers and investigators, they spend hours among hours going through every pixel of every photograph taken from the surface of Mars. And in that process, there have been pyramids discovered, faces discovered, squirrels, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, running lizards, turtles, Nazi memorabilia. I mean, you name it, somebody has found it on the surface of Mars, in one of these photographs.
But experts consider an optical illusion is causing many to see things where there may be nothing.
The likely explanation for all of this is if you look hard enough for something, you will find it.
Skeptics say this is just pareidolia, the desire, the tendency of the human mind to see patterns and artificiality where there isn't.
Pareidolia can happen from visual or auditory stimuli.
When you look outside at a wisp of clouds, you might see a unicorn or an elephant or a mountain range. That doesn't mean that it's an elephant or a mountain range. It just means that's what it looks like.
One of the more elusive phenomena found during the scientific study of Mars is a series of mysterious lights.
One of the images from the Mars Curiosity rover that led to huge interest from the public was what looked like a light shining on the Martian surface.
It looks like a light plume that is coming out of the ground, shining up into the air. Now, where is that light coming from? What is the source of it, and why is it there?
Now, some people in the UFO community said this is evidence of intelligent life. Maybe somebody is watching Curiosity. We're on Mars, and somebody's watching us.
NASA has tried to explain the mysterious lights.
They've said anything from the sun glistening off the surface of a rock in the distance. They've talked about solar radiation or a type of flare of some kind hitting the camera and reflecting in some way.
But believers, of course, are not swayed by that sort of talk and say, no, this is proof positive that there's something still on Mars. You know, maybe there was a civilization there once. Maybe it was destroyed, but perhaps it just went underground.
They've always tried to kind of label it as something very easily explainable. And yet, at the end of the day, we don't have that explanation yet. We just simply have a picture that is unidentified and unexplained.
Coming up, scientists are on the verge of discovering life on Mars. But how far has it evolved? Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. In recent years, scientific analysis of Mars has caused many in the UFO community to question whether life could, or perhaps already does, exist on the Red Planet.
As we explore more of Mars, we realize just how much we don't know about the Red Planet. When we look, of course, we don't think that there was water of any kind, and as we explore more, we realize we were wrong pretty much on everything that we thought about that planet. We can now almost conclusively say that it probably did have water at one time, that it may have even spawned life of some kind, but we just don't know. We haven't found it yet, but we are seeing that possibility grow and grow with each discovery that we make.
Unsealed case file, The Martian Plume. December 16th, 2014, Mars. Data gathered by the Martian rover Curiosity detects methane readings that are 10 times that of the natural background of methane on Mars.
One of the great recent mysteries about Mars revolves around plumes of methane gas shooting up from the surface hundreds of miles.
Stretching nearly 150 miles into the Martian atmosphere, the plumes are immediately a source of controversy.
Now, as always with this sort of thing, there's a debate going on in the scientific community. Is this geological or is it biological? Some believe that there are prosaic geological processes that might give rise to this phenomenon, but others say no. It's the chemical signature of life.
On Earth, biological processes create methane gas, which has led many to draw the conclusion that methane is being produced by alien life on Mars.
When you talk about alien life, it's just that, it's alien. We want to find something that would be absolutely similar to carbon-based life forms here on the planet Earth. But chances are you probably won't find that. They may be based on another element entirely.
But others in the UFO community take it even further.
If there is the remnants, perhaps, of some Martian civilization, if they were driven underground by some great cataclysm, might they still be down there? And might something like this be the periodic and deliberate venting of methane gas?
Recently, another geological feature, a massive hole measuring close to 350 feet across, was captured on film by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter.
Now, it could be an illusion. It could be either a very big hill with a hole in the center or a very big hole with an even deeper hole in the center. And when you look at this, you realize, well, this is definitely a hole of some kind.
Now, the clarity of this image is extraordinary, and the preciseness of the edges is really breathtaking.
Some scientists, and many in the UFO community, believe that this giant hole is a prime place to look for microbial life.
The protection down there from the harshness of the surface would make this perhaps an ideal place for life to either develop, or if it arose billions of years ago, to have survived. But to believers, of course, this sort of thing looks like evidence of a civilization. Well, maybe this is something that's been constructed.
This one photograph, openly released by NASA, sparked an internet controversy worldwide, saying that this was proof to underground structures and chambers and roadways and so on of some underground civilization on Mars.
NASA provides no official explanation for the image, but it leads many experts to consider a startling conclusion.
I think what we're learning on Mars is that there's absolutely a possibility that life began. Now, how far did it go is the question.
Coming up, a scientist uncovers evidence of nuclear blasts on the surface of Mars. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Many believe that Mars is the best chance we have to find extraterrestrial life. But some experts believe that proof may be hard to come by.
One of the main things that may have stopped in its tracks any Martian civilization is simply the fact that Mars does not have the mass to hold on to its atmosphere.
If Mars did have an atmosphere thousands of years ago, what could have happened that destroyed its protective layer?
Physicist John Brandenburg has suggested that at some stage in the past, there was at least one, maybe more, nuclear explosions on Mars.
If this is true, the explosions may have naturally occurred from a combination of geologic radioactivity combined with a meteor impact. But others take it a step further.
I suppose buying into the idea of war in heaven suggests that these nuclear explosions were not natural, but were really evidence of a nuclear war involving an extraterrestrial race.
When you think about life on Mars and potentially an intelligent civilization that may have budded millions of years ago, well before humans started here on Earth, the question is, why aren't they there now?
Civilization there was brought to an end. One possibility is that parts of that civilization might have fled somewhere. Where's the logical place for them to go? Earth.
This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.